Hey folks, I want to do some extra things. I brought back My World and I through the 2 student reader books that we write in and then you practice in. And then with the books reading from the continent. But I also realized I missed I Know My Nation. So I'm doing some books on different days that reference or come back to the nation work. And so I'm going to do some read-alouds, different days. This one is called American Symbols Series, and it's the Star-Spangled Banner. It's the story of the Star-Spangled Banner, which is our national, which means from our nation, anthem, which means a song. And that's the one, oh, say, can you see by the glow... You know that one? Okay. I'm going to spare you my singing. And there's a table of contents, because this is a nonfiction book. So there are chapters here. And I have a series of books that I'm going to read at different times. Okay, the Star-Spangled Banner. Here's people standing and singing. Some of you have their hand on their hearts, and some are just singing. It's in a classroom. It says here, this chapter is Symbol of Courage and Respect. The song, the Star-Spangled Banner, is a symbol of courage and respect. Americans showed courage at the time the song was written. Today, Americans play and sing the Star-Spangled Banner to show respect for the United States. Francis Scott Key. That's the man who wrote the song. Francis Scott Key wrote the Star-Spangled Banner in 1814. It's more than 200 years ago. During the War of 1812. Key went to a British ship near Baltimore, Maryland. Key went there to help a friend. His friend was a prisoner on the ship. And the prisoner is someone who is held by force. He did not want to be there. Next chapter here. The attack on Fort Henry. The British attacked Fort McHenry on September 13, 1814. Key was kept on the British ship during the attack. The British and the Americans fought all day and night. Key looked toward the fort the next morning. Through the smoke, he saw the U.S. flag flying over the fort. He then knew the Americans had won the battle. Next chapter. A poem becomes a song. After the battle, Key wrote a poem about the fight and the flag. He called his poem The Defense of Fort McHenry. A Baltimore newspaper printed the poem. Later, people added music to the poem. The song became known as the Star-Spangled Banner. He wrote the words and the music was added. Next chapter. The other Star-Spangled Banner. The flag that flew at Fort McHenry in 1814 is also called the Star-Spangled Banner. From 1874 until 1907, that was about pushing 30 years, it hung in the Boston Navy Yard. Today, you can see that flag at the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C. That's a very big museum in Washington. This chapter is called the National Anthem. The Star-Spangled Banner became popular in the late 1800s. The U.S. military sang the song when they raised and lowered the flag. In 1931, it's about 80 years ago, Congress, that's part of the government, made the Star-Spangled Banner the national anthem of the United States. This is what the sheet music looks like. Old sheet music. The Star-Spangled Banner today is this chapter. Today, Americans sing and play the Star-Spangled Banner at many events. They sing it before most sporting events. They also play it for military occasions. Americans show respect for the United States when they sing and play the Star-Spangled Banner. There's some hockey teams getting ready before the hockey game, and they're singing the national anthem, and everyone is standing who's watching the game. And here's a timeline. Here's the first part. In 1813, Mary Pickersgill and her daughter Caroline sew a large flag for Fort McHenry. In 1814, the British attack Fort McHenry. And that same year, Francis Scott Key writes a song about the battle and the U.S. flag. This timeline. We made a timeline, a few timelines this year, where we were gluing in the pictures and the words that showed the sequence of events in a story. In 1895, the U.S. Army and Navy start singing the Star-Spangled Banner. In 1916, President Woodrow Wilson orders the Star-Spangled Banner to be played at all military events. And in 1931, the Star-Spangled Banner becomes the national anthem of the United States. Then, because this is a nonfiction book, there's a task in here about how to write a poem, and then words to know that were included in the book. Give some background information about our national anthem.